Welcome back to the channel, my friends. Warhammer Man Studios, I'm Warhammer Man, and today we're talking about the new reveals for Necromunda. Warhammer Preview, Plunder the Haunted Depths of Necromunda Hive Secundus. It's been said before, and it'll be said again. Even in the setting predisposed to unfettered misery, the planet of Necromunda is one of a kind. The world's surface is long dead, witheringly toxic and racked with hostile mutant terrors. Its residents are packed by the billions into towering, unsanitary hive cities, breathing endlessly recycled air, eating reconstituted corpse starch, and scraping for sustenance in their crumbling metal cocoons. Now there are genestealers. So there's a little video preview right here, but we're going to skip that and take a look at the full article. Necromunda Hive Secundus is a new box supplement from Necromunda, a self-contained dungeon crawl through the worst city on the most unpleasant planet in an unmitigatedly vile galaxy. Alright, so interesting that they call it a dungeon crawl. But yeah, here we see the box set right here. And this sort of feels like Games Workshop may be making the same mistake again with Necromunda. So this is pretty similar to the box set that we had a few boxes ago. The Hive Wars, I think it was called. And we see there's basically like no terrain, just a couple of these little plastic wall stand-ups. And then a bunch of models, a book, and some dice and cards, templates, etc. And this was not very popular at all, because you're basically missing out on the actual cool part about Necromunda, which is the terrain and everything, and then you're taking the game down to like a two-dimensional level. So after that, Games Workshop tried to make the big boxes and add in a ton of terrain. So we saw Dark Uprising and Ash Waste. Both of them were absolutely loaded with models and terrain, but they were massive and priced at like $300 each. And again, they completely fell on their face. So rather than try something new and like a blend between these two, where you get a lot of models, a lot of terrain, but not quite as much, and the price is more reasonable, they just went back to the whole like, here's a bunch of models and almost no terrain. We'll just try the thing that we did before that didn't work. So basically the last 4 box sets that they've done, including this one, are just like 2 one style and 2 the other style. And we know that 3 out of those 4 boxes, we don't know about this one, have not worked. So it just feels to me like this one is going to be another that falls on its face. Very unfortunate, because Necromunda is awesome and there's so much potential, but Games Workshop just cannot seem to get it right. That being said, I'm not all negative on this. The models inside this are definitely super cool, but I do expect this to go up to like closer to a $200+ price point, which again to me just is too much for this. Hive Secundus was once the center of learning and enlightenment, a rare bright spot amid the ceaseless struggle of the far future, and so-called jewel of Necromunda. Then a certain tech priest biologist, Hermiatus, decided it was the perfect spot for some unsanctioned genestealer research. The plan, as things do, went awry, and before long the hive was riddled with Xenos corruption. House Helmar first tried to retake the hive and then to contain the disaster, Necromunda being deemed too important for exterminatus, with a giant perimeter wall and permanent surveillance from the planetary defense forces. Even the Imperial Fist got involved at one point. But as the cult grew in power and audacity, the then Lord Helmar did what any reasonable ruler would do. He pummeled the hive from orbit with gravitation missiles. So very cool picture right here. Obviously we can see how awesome the terrain looks and just the overall look with some of these new models. The Orruk model, just super creepy looking genestealer here. We've got like a little bit of converted terrain. And I just feel like all of this terrain is what makes it so cool and is lost with just this little two-dimensional board with a couple tiny little walls. This collapsed the structure in on itself, an accumulated mass of millennia sinking deep into the ground. And yet the infection survived, albeit changed by such esoteric weaponry into something new and horrible, the Mal strain. So very cool art right here as well. And obviously the Orruk, the first of the Spire Hunters being shown off. Absolutely beautiful. And obviously a lucky guess that we did in fact get the Spires. I think it was inevitable. It was just a matter of when. You may remember at the end of the last Necromunda campaign book, the Aranthian Succession Part 3, Ruins of Jardland, when Lady Hera met a surviving brother in his Spire suit, and a pair of them then descended into the darkness of the Underhells. This was, as we say in the trade, a clue, for Hive Secundus has become a happy hunting ground for Necromundan high society. Young rousters who love nothing more than wiring themselves into high-tech battlesuits, enlisting gangs of meat shields from their lesser houses, and entering the Underhells to collect Xenos heads. And now you can join them. Okay, so I'm not sure what this little guy is, a little like demon baby thing, but these are obviously the Orruk, and they are part of the Spire Hunters. And if you didn't pick it up from that little talk right there, the old lore on these guys is basically they are like the rich high society, and in order to basically prove themselves and gain tons of bounties, wealth, etc., they go down into the hive in these like super technological suits, rack up a certain amount of kills, etc. Sort of like the theme from Predator, but with humans going into these like exosuits instead of aliens going to a different planet. And then once they've racked up enough kills, enough creds, whatever it is, they can come back up and be respected in society or go off to like war. So very, very cool. And this is one of those types of suits. And we see 2 new models here. They sort of have a little bit of like the bug look to them, a bit of like an amble style to the suits, but absolutely awesome to see them coming in. Now a quick message from today's sponsor. CMO Games has been selling Games Workshop products online for over 20 years. They carry the full line of Games Workshop products, including Warhammer 40,000, Age of Sigmar, Necromunda, Blood Bowl, paint tools, and more. Almost all Games Workshop products are priced at 15% off MSRP. CMO Games takes pre-orders for most Games Workshop products released at their earliest date possible. 12:01 a.m. on Saturday, they go live. Most of these pre-order products are also priced at 15% off MSRP. CMO Games offer free shipping in the US 48 with an order of $50 or more. Their customer service is top-notch and they ship most orders within 24 hours. Visit CMOGames.com using the affiliate link in the description and let them know that you heard about CMO Games from Warhammer Man. Now, back to the video. Necromunda Hive Secundus is a full game in a box. It contains 2 complete gangs from 3 diverse factions, 2 Orruk Spire Hunters, a Caryatid Prime, 8 Vansar Tech Hunters, 6 Twisted Malstrain Genestealers, and 4 Malstrain Tyramites, all new in plastic. There's also 8 plastic brood scum made using the existing Hive scum in combination with the new heads. The 2 Orruk Spire Hunters can be built with a range of top-tier weaponry, while their Vansar allies are a new type of specialists with access to additional guns, equipment, and specialist skills. Alright, so here we see the new Vansar models, obviously very cool. We see a big gun right there with like a flamer built into something else going on. And then here we see what looks like sort of a medic or something like that. Very, very cool models. And then a sniper and more of a specialist. Really, really good looking stuff right here. This one appears to have like an auspex. This one is reloading. Very cool. As for the Genestealers, there aren't your run-of-the-mill pure strains. From the Patriarch down, these guys have been changed by the destruction of Secundus. It's not even clear that the Hive Mind would want to pay them a visit at this point. Alright, so here we see the new Malstrains. So very, very cool. Just absolutely mutated. We got like the little brain bugs to go along with them. Awesome looking, cool textured bases, just beautiful new models. Definitely different from any Genestealers we've ever seen. We do see some duplicates right here, so I'm not sure exactly what's going on, if they're just painted up a little bit different. But I think it did say there were 6 of them, and we definitely see duplicates. So that is interesting. Maybe it's just 3 and 3. So we'll have to see. Maybe there's a way you can swap the arms out, but it is kind of weird if there's only 3 different poses out of 6 and feels maybe just a bit lazy. The game itself pits 2 players in a link campaign as a Secundus incursion gang, led by an Imperious Spire and bulked out by the House Vansar Tech Hunters. Infiltrate as far as you can into infested Hive Secundus. The Spires are on a hunt for glory, but the Vansar seek to plunder data cores. As they get deeper, the environs become more hazardous and the Genestealers hungrier. Alright, so here we see the new cult models. So they're saying these are just the old models right here, just with the new heads from the set. So these do look pretty cool. This is like the Hive Scum, just basic guys from Necromunda. Interesting little look to them. Nice way to like repurpose some otherwise generic bodies. In this box, you get a bulkhead terrain sprue containing barricades and doors, a 176-page softbook rulebook, a 176-page softback rulebook, a token board, 2 double-sided paper gaming mats, range rulers, templates, 88 cards, 16 dice, and a suitably sickly hue. And then here we see the Secundus book. Awesome little artwork right here. The Secundus symbol is like the mutated Genestealer. Very, very cool. We'll have loads more to show you from Necromunda Hive Secundus in due course, and more from both the Spire and Malstrain, alongside new Ruined Zone Mortalis terrain and a new book. In the meantime, click here to see the rest of today's preview. So we know there's going to be more Zone Mortalis terrain. It's a shame that they didn't put some in this box set, and then obviously more Spires, as we know there are other Spire suits as well, so let's go ahead and check those out. Join the Underhive headhunt with the Malcadon, Yeld, and Jakara Spyrers. No sooner than the orcs stomped into view this weekend's Warhammer preview among all the rest of the bounty hidden in Necromunda Hive Secundus, then he's joined by 3 other classic patterns of Spire Hunters. Alright, so this is what I'm talking about. We've got the Malcadon, the Yeld, and then the Jakara. And then this sort of looks like a blend of the two, because we see the Jakara blade, but then the Malcadon claw. So maybe there's like a hybrid suit now. Very cool. Overall, I'd say I like the look of these. They are just a little bit sort of like longer than they used to be. I do like the looks of them. They are a little bit more like distended than they used to be. I like the bodysuits overall, but it does feel like it's sort of just one generic bodysuit, and then the addition is like the wings or the weapons. Also hope there are like some different heads, because like the Malcadon heads used to be super awesome, and these feel just a little bit more like dulled down, generic. Where the orruk is classed as a heavy spire hunter, the Malcadon, Yeld, and Jakara are light spires. And while their looks have evolved, they are still function the same as they did when they first terrorized the underhive in 1996. Cunningly tooled to fit the same sprue, these three variants share bodies but retain their signature armaments and unique method of fighting. The archetypes remain the same. The Malcadon is still a hypermobile brawler with paired claws and web incisors, though they now sport a drop rig and a grapnel launcher as standard, and may switch the claws for a paired toxin whips. The Yeld is a flyer who can pick a paired laser gauntlets or missile gauntlets, while the Jakara fights with a mirror shield in either a monomolecular blade or Naga blade. Okay, so very cool. Basically, like, one thing that was cool about the Malcadons before is they had a Weber, so they could essentially like immobilize some people and then smash them in combat. One thing that was really cool about the Jakara is she had a mirror shield, so if you shot her with a laser weapon, she had a chance to not only block the damage, but reflect it and shoot it back at you, potentially killing the person who shot her. So there's definitely some cool rules back in the day. I'm assuming that some of this is going to be transferred over. And obviously any flyers are super strong in this. So either the paired pistols or like the actual missiles are going to be great, I'm sure, as well on the Yeld. The kit comes with 4 bodies and the armaments are interchangeable for a high degree of posability. This modularity also means that you can mix and match loadouts to create your leader, a Spire Hunter Master skilled in numerous disciplines, and therefore even more of a terror to dispatch. We'll preview some rules closer to release, but suffice to say that each Spire Hunter is pricey in credits and deadly in the field. But what they lack in numbers, they make up for in activations, of which they have 2 each per turn, for 4 actions per turn. The name of Helmar will be whispered in fear once again. Okay, so very cool. Definitely looking forward to like the new Spires or the returning Spires. We've got 4 new suits, the heavy in the orruk and then the 3 lights in these. And then obviously they have discussed this build is essentially like your leader can take that, sort of a combination of multiple things. So very, very cool. Definitely looking forward to this. The actual box set feels like a bit of a miss in that they're making the same mistakes they've made in the past. But let's hope that this will revitalize Necromunda. Let's hope that they're trimming down the amount of books that you need to play and just the overall amount of stuff that's available. Because a lot of people are excited about the game, want to get into Necromunda, and then see there's a ton of stuff. A lot of it's not even available, and it's almost just impossible to start, as you kind of get like a bit of analysis paralysis. If this box set is reasonably priced, comes with a lot of models, and then they have an expansion with a decent amount of like cool terrain, I think it's much more viable breaking it up into like 2 sets at closer to like a $200 and $100 price point, as opposed to just selling it all at once for $300. And I think that has always been an issue with the last 2 box sets. And then the one before it, Hive War, just wasn't really that popular because the box set wasn't that cool. Unfortunately, this new box set, Secundus, feels a lot like that box. And realistically, I think that one was priced at like $150. And we know this one's going to be priced upwards of $200. Looks about as cool as the old one. So in my opinion, probably not going to be bridging the gap between what Games Workshop thinks is good value and going to sell well, and what customers perceive as good value and willing to spend their money on. So while the Spires are super cool, and I'll definitely be picking these up to paint them at some point in time, I don't think this is going to change much for Necromunda, at least in the areas where there's not already a following. But I do think this is super cool for like the existing leagues or players. So let me know what you think down below. If you're already playing Necromunda, how excited are you for this? Is everybody getting super pumped for Secundus? If you're not playing Necromunda and you were hoping that this would pop off and get you guys going locally, what do you think of the value in that box set if it comes out around $200? Always like to hear back from you guys in the comments. Special thanks to CMO Games for sponsoring the channel. Check out the link in the description to save 15% on Games Workshop products. That's it for today. Warhammer Man Studios, I'm Warhammer Man, and we got our wish, baby. The Spire Hunters are back. And I'm out of here.